So, to our next speaker.
Yes. Hello, Julia.
Hello, nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
So, we heard about AI.
Already a little bit, yeah?
Yeah, and your topic will be AI writes it, sends it, reads it, and consumes it. Oh, no, 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 no. But yeah, we're talking here by ourselves that in reality, when it will be happen that we are not as the email marketers not needed
Anymore, yeah?
Yeah.
Probably.
So if the AI can write it, actually code it, and segment it by your behavior and send it out by your buying behavior.
Deliver it and make summaries later on
Yeah.
for the readers, then why are we even needed? Maybe you can educate us on this topic.
Yeah.
Well, that's exactly the whole point of my today's presentation, because despite my current role, AI consultant, prompt engineer, and technical content specialist, I still believe that we need humans, at least to supervise those AI tools. And we also need humans to write and to compose great strategies for these AI tools. So hopefully my today's presentation will answer all these aspects, like why do we still need humans in this whole AI and marketing and email puzzle.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so let's begin. So again, hi everyone. I'm really happy to be here today. Before we dive into today's topic, please take a second and think. What's one email from a brand that you can remember right now? The first one that comes to your mind. No overthinking. You can write your answer on the chat. Because when I asked myself that question while preparing this presentation, the answer actually surprised me. The email that came to my mind was a newsletter from a Polish brand that sells headbands. So the brand is called Ulka, and it really made me wonder why that one. Was it some groundbreaking copy that changed my life? Not really. Because everything in that email was simply right. It felt very me as well. Spring, pastels, flowers. And the timing was perfect too, because it arrived around Women's Day in Poland, exactly when I was thinking about treating myself to something small. And the product actually fit my life. A headband, a tiny thing that could brighten my morning. Did the company use AI to create that email? Honestly, I have no idea. And as the person receiving it, it didn't really matter. What mattered was the result, the right message to the right person at exactly the right moment. That's the whole game. Whether you use AI or not, in the end, it always comes down to the same thing: the right message, the right person, and the right moment. And of course, the fact that the message is actually reaching my inbox. But I think that the previous speaker has covered it in a great way. So yes, today we'll talk about AI, but as I said before, I'm still a huge believer in these marketing basics, because no matter how powerful these AI tools become, these basics are exactly what AI needs from us to actually work. Okay, let me introduce myself. My name is Julia Matuszewska, and I work as a technical content specialist and AI consultant at MessageFlow, a multi-channel communication platform for SMS, mobile push, OTT, and of course, email. And I know my background is a bit of an unusual combination, because I originally studied literature, So language, writing, and close reading of texts have been my passion for as long as I can remember. And the love for that written word never really left me, even when I eventually found myself deep in the world of Python and large language models. So I have spent about 10 years in content marketing and the last few years in generative AI. I have delivered projects across pharma, education, e-commerce, and trained teams to work with tools like ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude. And today I combine these two aspects at MessageFlow. One thing I want you to know before we start. I'm not someone who believes AI will replace good content work. I believe that in a world where anyone can generate unlimited text, quality and relevance are the only things that matter. And I also believe there's still something difficult to define in truly great copy, something that can't quite be reduced to a pattern or an algorithm, whether you're writing a poem or an email campaign. Let's be honest, almost everyone is using AI to generate content now, and I don't see that as a problem. I actually see it as an opportunity because most people are using AI in exactly the same way, which means there's a lot of room to do it better. So the real question today is, what does AI actually need from you to create something worth reading? And here's what we'll cover. First, where things usually fall apart. Based on dozens of AI content projects, I will show you three common failure patterns. Then we'll talk about what AI actually needs from your team before you even write the first prompt. And finally, we'll get a little bit practical because I will show you the simple workflow I personally use when creating content with AI, including prompt templates and other documents you can start using even today. So yes, today we'll focus on email content, but everything I will show you today will work just as well for LinkedIn posts, for landing pages, or long form content, because email is simply our example today. And one practical note, the full presentation and all the resources will be shared after the event. So for now, you can just relax and enjoy the presentation. All right, let's get into the fun part. I have worked with a lot of companies trying to bring AI into their content workflows, and after a while, I start seeing the same things happen over and over again. So I want to share 3 scenarios. They are loosely inspired by real situations I've seen or honestly been part of myself. So writing this example was a little painful because at some point, I've personally made every single one of these mistakes. Okay, let's go. Scenario number 1. Who are we? A marketing team. What do we want? Leads. What kind of leads? Doesn't really matter. Sound familiar? Because I have been in this room. We know who we are, we know what we want, but who we're talking to? If this is where your team is right now, AI is not going to save you because the foundation isn't there. AI doesn't know your audience. It only works with the information you give it. And if the input is leads, conversions, everyone, then the output will be exactly what you'd expect, generic and forgettable. In most companies, there is a document somewhere. Google Drive, Confluence, Notion page. It's usually called something like marketing personas or buyer personas. It could have been created during a big workshop, like leadership was in the room, an external consultant was invited. There was a structured process, a Miro board, and at the end of it, a beautiful PDF file. The consultant was paid, the document was delivered, and then it started collecting digital dust in what I like to call the marketing folder of shame. The people who actually write the emails were often not involved in creating it. The personas describe idealized customers. And after a while, nobody really updates it anymore. And now, more mature marketing teams do recognize the problem and they try to fix it. So they launch various ABM programs, account-based marketing programs. They run customer interviews and they build feedback loops with sales. And I want you to know that this instinct is absolutely correct. That's fine. But it introduces a different risk, inductive thinking. You interview 15, maybe 20 customers, so patterns start to appear, and slowly those conversations become your entire mental model of the audience, even though they represent a very small group of people. So if you're not careful enough, you end up with two failure modes. On one side, we have strategy documents that are too abstract to use, and on the other, we have qualitative insights that are too limited. And AI will inherit whichever one you give it. How to fix it? 5 things. First, start with your ideal customer profile, your ICP. Go to your CRM, look at closed deals, industries, company sizes, roles. Build 2, maybe 3 realistic profiles based on customers you have actually won. You can also copy paste your sales call notes into Claude or ChatGPT and ask, based on these conversations, draft an ICP for our business. Done in 20 seconds. Second, tone of voice. Again, 1 to 2 pages. No idea where to start? Paste your 5 best performing emails into Claude and say, extract the tone of voice guide from these. Include principles, phrases to use and avoid, and good and bad sentence examples. If you're feeling extra ambitious, ask for the NN Group inspired tone of voice documents. Third, record customer conversations. Of course, you have to make sure you have recording consent first. But then discovery call and sales calls. Tools like Gemini, Blue Dot, Fireflies, MidGeek can export these transcripts automatically, and you can store them in a safe space that your team actually uses. The exact words customers use to describe their problems are the most precious input you can give AI. Fourth, find the patterns. Once a month, review your transcripts and summaries. You can feed them into Notebook LM, which is Google's retrieval augmented generation tool, and ask it to identify recurring problems, questions, and phrases. And finally, bring it all together. ICP, tone of voice, brand guidelines, summaries, best performing email examples, one shared folder, one source of truth, and always up to date. I know this sounds like a lot of work, but it's work you only need to do once and then maintain over time, and the payoff is huge. You can easily generate loads of content made just for your audience and brand. Because in the end, the quality of AI output is always a reflection of the quality of what you put in. So garbage in, garbage out. Okay, scenario 2. We want to use AI in marketing, but we don't actually understand our own processes. When I run AI workshops, I have always started with the same question. What does your typical workday look like? And almost every time the answer was, honestly, every day is completely different. So I would not write it down and come back 2 days later with a list of 5 or more things that happened exactly the same way. The processes were there, they just existed in people's heads. And because of that, they couldn't be improved or handed off to AI. Let's look at 2 aspects of this problem. The first is what I call operational invisibility. So nothing is tracked, timed, or logged, no Jira, no data on how long things actually take, which means there's no baseline. And without a baseline, you can't measure whether AI is helping or not. And the second is strategy gap. In many teams, content creators get a brief and are told what to write, but not why. And that works until AI enters the picture, because execution suddenly becomes extremely fast, and AI can generate 10 versions of an email copy in seconds, but someone still has to define the strategy behind it. Who are we targeting? What problem are we trying to solve? So we don't just need a copywriter anymore, we need someone like AI's boss, a strategist. And if the content team has never been expected to think at that level, AI receives a shallow brief, and shallow briefs produce very shallow outputs. And now, 2 steps to fix this. Step 1, map it before you automate it. Pick one recurring workflow. For email teams, the monthly newsletter is usually a good starting point. So write down every step from brief to performance review, and for each step, define 4 things. Who owns it? What information or assets go in? What the expected output is, and how long it should take. At Message Flow, we do this in Jira using a reusable Epic template like the one on the right, but you can also use Asana, ClickUp, Notion, or even a short spreadsheet. And when you map everything out, 2 things almost always happen. First, you realize the workflow is longer than you thought because informal steps suddenly become visible. And second, you start to see exactly where things slow down. Step 2, standardize. Before automating, check whether the workflow you mapped actually works. Run 2, maybe 3 real campaigns using that process and then standardize it. That becomes your repeatable workflow, and repeatable workflows are what AI is made for. At Message Flow, we automated blog post generation, landing page creation, and newsletter copy generation within a few weeks, of course, with help from our AI team. How? We understood our processes. We knew every step. We identified which parts needed humans and which could be automated. Scenario 3, and for me this one is really painful because it usually starts with the best intentions on all sides. The AI team usually has a clear task: automate as much as possible, cut costs, increase output. So they build something that's really technically impressive, for example, a fully automated content generation engine. And then it meets the marketing team. Marketing was never properly consulted during the build. They were told the solution was coming, shown a demo, and asked to start using it. And then the problems appear. The system doesn't have the data it needs because the foundation from scenario 1 was never built. It tries to automate workflows that were never mapped because scenario 2 never happened. And the outputs don't meet marketing expectations because those expectations were never translated into system requirements. So everyone quietly goes back to the old way of working, except now there's an extra frustration and money burned. AI teams are usually measured on technical delivery. Did we build it? Does it work? Did we reduce costs? The end. But marketing teams need something different. They need outputs they can trust. They need to feel involved in how the tool works because they are the domain experts, and they need solutions that fit into their workflows. At Message Flow, our situation looks more like the meme on the right, because the AI and marketing teams, they talk several times a week, and the AI team asks us questions. What do you need? How does this process work? What data could improve the output? They ask us to document workflows, share our knowledge, test solutions, and give honest feedback as well. So It's not perfect because nothing ever is, but it's built on the right foundation, collaboration. And that's why I can stand here today and show you a framework that actually works. All right, this sounds like an entire AI implementation strategy, and you're right, it is. But here's the good news. Once the foundation is in place, the actual content generation part is really simple. Now, let me show you how to generate emails that actually sound human. Today, I will use Claude with Skills feature, which is my personal favorite at the moment, but I will also mention alternatives like ChatGPT, custom GPTs, Gemini, GEMS, and so on. So let's begin. I will walk you through a real newsletter generation skill built in Claude. Okay, before I show you my newsletter skill, a quick explanation what a skill actually is. So a skill is a special feature available in a very well-known AI assistant, Claude. It's available in desktop and web applications, and of course in Claude Code, which is a terminal-based coding assistant from Anthropic. From a technical perspective, a skill is a folder. Inside it, we have a skill MD file with instructions written in plain Markdown format. Optionally, we have scripts, we have reference documents, templates, and basically that's it. So Claude reads the skill MD and follows those instructions every time you invoke the skill, either by typing skill name directly in your chat with AI, or Claude can load it automatically when it's relevant to what you're doing at the moment. The screenshot on the right shows exactly what this looks like. So you can see a newsletter skill with its skill MD and a references folder with brand voice and personas documents. And those are the strategic inputs from stage one, loaded directly into the skill. The work you did earlier doesn't disappear. It becomes the foundation of your automated workflow. And here's the part I want you to remember. You don't need to write any of this yourself. Go to Customize, Skills, Create with Claude, and describe what you want the skill to do in plain, natural language. Claude will build the skill MD for you. That's how I build my skill. Okay, step one, gather your documents. I already had most of them from my scenario one, so tone of voice, brand context, personas, a folder of our best performing newsletters as good examples. And if you have done that work, you already have everything you need because the documents don't change. You just load them into your skill. One practical note on format. Skills and AI in general work best with Markdown files. So if your documents are in docs or PDF, converting them is simple. You can use AI like Claude or write them in free code editor like Visual Studio Code. So format isn't the hard part, you'll manage this, but quality is. These documents become your stable context, the permanent instruction set Claude works from every single session. So before you load anything, run a quick audit. Are my guidelines concrete enough? Are there contradictions between documents, places where you say something different from another? Because whatever is in these files, AI will treat as truth. So spend an extra hour making these documents tight because it really pays off. And if you don't have these strategic materials yet, the prompt on the right gets you started. So paste your existing materials, whatever you have, specify which document you need, and Claude drafts it in about 10 seconds. It's not perfect, but again, it's good enough to start. Step 2, map the workflow. Before I touched Claude, I sat down and wrote out every single step of our newsletter creation process. This is exactly what we talked about in scenario 2. So this one took about an hour in total and involved more people from my marketing team. Here's what our newsletter workflow actually looked like when I wrote it down. 12 steps. Then I made a very conscious decision about each one, automate or keep human. The rule I used was simple. If a step is repetitive and has structured inputs, it's a good candidate for automation. Research was an obvious yes, because it's time-consuming, it's pattern-based, and the output is very easy to evaluate. Brief writing, yes, of course, because it's always the same structure provided in the good email copy examples in my folder. First draft generation, yes, for the same reason. Claude can easily use the brief and generate the first draft. Translation from English to Polish or the other way round, yes, again, because we have very clear tone of voice rules that apply in English and in Polish. But topic definitions, that's human, because it requires understanding what's happening in the business, what our audience needs right now, and what story you want to tell this month. AI doesn't have this context, at least not in my process. So human editing as well, it always stays human. The AI draft is a good starting point, but it's not a finished product. Someone needs to read it, feel it, and decide if it actually sounds like us. The result, 6 of 12 steps automated and about 4 hours saved per newsletter cycle. And that map, the exact list you can see on your screen, became my architecture of my skill MD. Okay, step 3, ask Claude to build and rest. So I didn't write a single line of code. I went to customize skills, create with Claude, and described what I wanted in plain language. The instruction, the prompt was something like, create a newsletter generation skill. It should do web research, accept company news from me, draft content in English and Polish, generate full newsletter copy, and produce infographic briefs for each section. Here are my reference documents, use them as your stable context. And then I provided my 5 documents in Markdown format: brand voice, buyer personas, newsletter examples, visual identity, brand context. I want to pause on that phrase, stable context, because it's the most important concept in this framework. Stable context is the information AI references before doing anything else, so it's not a prompt. Prompts change every session. They tell AI what to do right now, but stable context tells AI who you are, how you sound, who you're writing for. It stays constant. In Claude Skills, your Markdown documents become stable context automatically. Claude reads them at the start of every session without you doing anything. In other tools, it works differently, but the principle is similar, and a detailed table on the right shows you how it looks in other AI tools like ChatGPT or Gemini. Anyway, the better your stable context, the less you have to explain in every prompt and the more consistent your outputs. And then you have to actually review the architecture outlined by Claude and improve it if needed. I know this might be inconvenient, but it's a must. Now I want you to look at this chart for a moment, because this is the output of this very short conversation I had with Claude, an architecture Claude designed based on my workflow and my stable context. On the left, you can see the full skill pipeline. We have 6 phases in order. User trigger at the top. The user needs to provide company news and edition month as a must. Then the research, fully automated. Claude can run 2 tracks in parallel, like topics it always covers regardless of what I provided in my stable context. and themes specific to whatever I've given it this month. And this one is based on the user prompt. And the output package at the bottom. So we have 2 Markdown files, newsletter in English, newsletter in Polish, and 5 PNG files, newsletter images, 1 per section, generated to exact brand specification from visual identity Markdown file. So what I gave Claude was a conversation and a couple of slides, and Claude gave me a complete production system. You can see the screen. Step 4, test and refine. The first output was 80% right. Sections were too long, Polish failed translated. So I went back into my skill, read the instructions, I know, inconvenient, gave Claude my feedback, and ran it again and again and again. Run 3 was the first output I was truly happy to work with. I know that iterating can be inconvenient because we usually expect quick results, but every fix you make to the skill doesn't just improve the next newsletter. It improves every newsletter after that permanently, and the skill compounds, so all the effort you put in, it pays off. Okay, and stage 5. Don't skip this one. It's the one that makes or breaks everything that came before it. You can have the most perfectly crafted on-brand newsletter in the world, but if it lands in spam, nobody reads it. It doesn't solve deliverability because content generation and email delivery are 2 layers. Of course, as the previous speakers said, they are connected with each other, but both needs to be in place. Okay, my main message today is the framework I have walked you through produces copy worth sending, but you still need to ensure it gets to your users that you know everything about. So put in the reps and take care of the strategy and processes part, because it will pay off. The right message, the right person, the right context, the right time, and that's what I hoped to cover today. Okay, so thank you for today. I hope you enjoyed the presentation. If you want to download it, you can scan the QR code on the screen. It will take you to my article on AI and content strategy. And in the article, I embedded the full presentation for you. So that's it. Thank you for today.
Thank you, Julia. It was really insightful. We have some questions also for you. I've seen personally that the AI models have become better, like really quickly. I used to do my kids' bedtime stories with ChatGPT, and they were like patronizing and boring and sometimes contradicting and like not good. But during the year, it has become a lot better. Now I try Gemini, which for me seems is even more good. We are using those AI tools in our everyday work also. But what I want to ask you is, AI is generating so much information. People are talking in internet that when the models start to train on the information that AI has generated, that the value is degrading. Do you see this in your work, or what do you think about it? Where does it go?
Of course, this it's an interesting question, because we actually have a name for that phenomenon. It's called AI model collapse. So Google it if you're interested. And it's a situation where AI models are trained on AI generated content. There is science research actually that shows that when AI is trained on AI generated output, it makes AI models worse. So it's a real problem in the AI world, and that's why researchers in those organizations like ChatGPT or Anthropic, they have to put much more effort in preparing data for AI. Nevertheless, yes, your observation from the very beginning is true that AI models are improving every month. And that's why I'm having so many problems doing these AI presentations, because I cannot prepare them even 2 weeks ahead. They must be as fresh as possible, because also this leadership board for various AI models changes constantly. And if you asked me a few months ago, my favorite AI model was GPT, and currently it's Claude.
But why? Does it give you some kind of different output, or why do you prefer it?
I would say mostly due to this skills feature. It makes very easy, very convenient to manage your stable context. And this framework in some way has been my main framework of working with AI content for some time, from some time. So it actually matches my way of working in a perfect way.
There are a few questions about data. Does Claude learn from your data? Is it safe to upload your brand documents and customer transcripts, for example?
Oh, that's a nice question. And I'm really happy for that question, because I didn't have enough time to cover this topic in my presentation. So the answer actually depends on which plan you're using, and it also depends on your custom settings in Claude. So Anthropic was known for a pretty fair approach to AI training. And until last year, they were not using our conversations in Claude to train their models, but the policy changed last year, actually. So the best so my recommendation is to go and check your privacy settings and disable and prevent AI from training on your own data. That's my advice number one. Of course, it's a different story for business use, because other plans like Claude for Work or Claude API, none of that was affected by last year's change in Anthropic. But my second piece of advice is that you should anonymize sensitive data before you paste it anywhere, whether it's Claude or ChatGPT or Gemini. You just have to anonymize any personal data before you use it in AI tools. That's the golden practice.
Yes, of course. Thank you very much, Julia.